When people start lifting weights, building bigger muscles is one of the most common goals. And what is the best way to optimize muscle growth? That's what we're going to look at today and help you get to your goal of building more muscle faster. Hey everyone, welcome to Science-Based Fitness. My name's Adam. Thanks for checking out the channel. Today's video, we're looking at 3 tips on how you can help optimize muscle growth. Now, these aren't just generic tips like eat more protein, which that can be beneficial and helpful if you're lacking in that area, but these are going to be more specific to exercise, a little bit more specific to the way you train. And I know there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the fitness world. There's so many different people giving their opinions. I want to give you guys the evidence and the research so you can look this up on your own. Everything I source here will be in the description. Feel free to go down below and read it yourself if you'd like. And hopefully you learned something new. So let's get right into tip number 1. What is the best rep range for gaining size? While there's an optimal rep range for hypertrophy, growth isn't mutually exclusive to just one rep range. It is better at a specific rep range. When looking at a systematic review from 2019, they included 30 studies trying to pinpoint the optimal rep range. Their conclusion stated, for individuals seeking to maximize muscle growth should be a hypertrophy-oriented resistance training consisting of multiple sets of 6 to 12 repetitions. And I think a better way to understand this is through an illustration by Greg Nuckols in his 2015 systematic review. And here's the actual graph Greg Nuckols used. You can see in this graph here along the y-axis, we have the rep ranges, running 1 to 5 reps all the way down to 15 plus reps. And then on the x-axis here, we have running from left to right, pure strength all the way to endurance. And right in the middle, you can see that we're looking at size. The darker the color blue, the greater the amount of hypertrophy. In the 1 to 5 rep range, there is size gained. And also in the 15 plus reps, there's also size gained. But the darker the color in the center is where the greatest amount of hypertrophy is seen. This systematic review found a very similar hypertrophy rep range of 6 to 15, which is slightly different from the original rep range I stated of 6 to 12. So I think it's pretty clear that using middle of the pack reps of 6 to 15 or 6 to 12 rep range is most optimal for hypertrophy. But that's not the only factor that matters. And moving on to tip number 2, looks at the intensity that you're training at. A 2019 study from the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research looked at how hard trainees needed to work to optimize muscle growth. And the study used 4 groups of trainees over an 8-week-long study, having 2 groups trained to failure using RPEs of 9, while one group used lightweight and the other group used heavyweight, while the other 2 groups stopped shy of failure using RPEs between 5 and 7. Same thing though, one group used lightweight and the other group used heavyweight. And we're going to focus on just the left side here. This is the hypertrophy. And you can see from the findings here, if we look at the x-axis here, we can see that there's a pre and post data set, and there is hypertrophy seen across each of these groups, with the least amount of hypertrophy seen in the group using lightweight stopping shy of failure, and the most hypertrophy seen in the group using lightweight to failure. So what exactly does this mean? If you're going to be training trying to optimize size, this finding points out that you should be trying to train to failure of an RPE of maybe 9. And you should also be using a rep range maybe around 10 reps. This will be the optimal way to try to experience the most hypertrophy. And the final tip I want to bring up here, I was actually debating including, but it's going to be train multi-joint movements before single joint movements. Now, what does that mean exactly? So let me give an example here. Let's say we're going to hit a chest and tricep day. Which muscle group do you want to start with first? So ideally here, we'd want to train our chest first because it's a multi-joint movement. Our shoulder joint and our elbow joint is involved. Versus when we do just tricep extensions or tricep pushdowns, we are using just a single joint movement. The reason behind this is if we're going to be training our chest movement like we can see here, and we decide to hit triceps first, we're actually zapping the energy from our triceps, which are assisting muscle inside of the actual bench press or chest press here. And when it comes down to it, we're actually limiting the amount of fatigue we can supply to our chest. And a study titled Effects of Order of Resistance Exercise on Muscle Hypertrophy in Young Adult Men looked at exactly this. And I mentioned I was debating including this because the findings were not very strong and there was only a 3% increase in hypertrophy in favor of the multi-joint movement first. Now, this is deemed statistically insignificant, but I included it for a few reasons. One of the reasons was that this study only lasted for 6 weeks and still showed a 3% increase. And the second reason is that these principles I'm trying to teach people here are something that you can apply for longer than 6 weeks. They're meant to be a lifelong skill that you can have for 10 plus years of training. I think a lot of us would agree if I could give you a tip that would show a 3% increase in your actual muscle mass, I think most of us would agree that they'd want to know what it is. So these are my 3 tips for how to increase hypertrophy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this video, found value. If you guys want more videos like this, drop it in the comments, let me know what you want videos on. This is actually one of the first videos I made. I'm going back now that I've learned how to make better videos and recreating a few of my first 2 videos. I made one on hypertrophy and I made one on strength, so that's one of the videos I'm going to be doing soon. So if you are interested in that, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for that video coming out in a couple weeks. See you guys, have a good day.